Most people walk into trading with this belief that the magic lies in some hidden strategy. Maybe it's an indicator they haven't discovered yet. Maybe it's a signal service they just haven't subscribed to. Or maybe it's just that their account size is too small. And if they had more money, suddenly everything would click. But let me be blunt, none of that is the real difference. What truly separates the pros from the amateurs isn't the tools, isn't the size of the account, isn't even the number of years they've been watching charts. It's mindset. And there's one shift, just one, that if you manage to make it, everything changes. Here it is in the simplest terms. Amateurs want to trade. Professionals wait to trade. That's it. That's the line in the sand. And if you don't believe me now, keep listening, because I promise, the deeper we go into this, the more you'll recognize it in your own trading. Let's start with the amateur side of the story. Amateurs are in love with activity. They measure their progress by how many trades they take. They wake up, load the charts, and if they're not in the market within the first half hour, they feel like the day is wasted. Have you ever caught yourself thinking, I haven't placed a trade all week, what's the point of even looking? That's the amateur mindset talking. It equates doing nothing with being lazy, and doing something, anything, with being productive. But here's the hard truth. In trading, activity doesn't equal productivity. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is absolutely nothing. I like to think of it in terms of fishing. Picture a fisherman standing on a quiet lake. The amateur is restless. He casts his line over and over, splashing the water, scaring away the fish, but convincing himself he's working hard. Every now and then he snags a tiny catch, just enough to keep him going, but never enough to feed him. Meanwhile, the professional sits in silence. He knows the fish aren't biting yet, so he waits. He watches the water. Hours might pass, but when the conditions finally line up, he casts once and lands the kind of fish the amateur has been chasing all day. Same lake, same fish, completely different results. Now let's switch over to the professional mindset. Professionals know the market doesn't owe them anything. They're not there to squeeze a profit out of every candle that moves. They don't define a successful day by how many trades they placed, but by whether they followed their plan and managed risk. For them, trading is business. And in business, you don't just open the doors and sell a product that doesn't exist. You wait until the product is ready, until the customer wants it, until the timing makes sense. Only then do you make your move. There's a quote I think about a lot from Warren Buffett. He said, "The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient." Let that sink in. Money flows away from the people who can't stop clicking buttons and into the accounts of those who have the discipline to wait. That's not theory. That's reality. Professionals live and breathe that. The easiest analogy here is the sniper. The amateur is like a soldier with a machine gun, unloading round after round into the distance, hoping one of them finds the target. They burn through energy, resources, and discipline. The professional is like a sniper. They lie still. They breathe slow. They wait. They might only take one shot the entire day, but when they do, it's precise. It hits. And one clean shot is worth 100 wasted ones. That's exactly how pros see the market. They don't feel the need to constantly fire off trades. They wait until the setup is undeniable. So what does this actually look like in day-to-day trading? Picture two traders looking at the same chart. The first sees a half-decent setup. It's not perfect, but they're restless, so they convince themselves it's good enough. They click buy. 10 minutes later, the trade goes against them. They get stopped out, feel frustrated, and immediately look for another entry to make it back. Now they're not just trading a weak setup, they're trading on tilt. This cycle repeats until the account bleeds dry. The professional sees the same chart. They notice the setup, but they also notice the flaws. Volume isn't there. Risk to reward doesn't line up. So what do? They pass. They close the chart, make a note, and move on. Hours later, maybe days later, the conditions finally align perfectly. That's when they step in. That's when they take the trade. And guess what? Their win rate is higher their risk is lower, and their stress levels are almost non-existent. It's the same market, but two completely different experiences. Now let's talk about why this shift is so hard. Because if it was easy, everyone would already be trading like a professional. Human nature is the problem. We crave action. We crave dopamine. When the market is moving and we're sitting on our hands, it feels like we're missing out on life itself. You scroll through social media, see someone bragging about a trade they took, and suddenly the fear of missing out hits like a punch to the gut. You convince yourself that if you don't act right now, you'll miss your chance forever. That's how amateurs think, and that's why they stay amateurs. Society doesn't help either. From school to work, we're taught that effort equals results. If you study longer, your grades go up. If you work harder hours, your paycheck grows. Trading flips that script on its head. In this game, effort doesn't always equal reward. Sometimes, the harder you try, the more you lose. It's the opposite of what you've been trained to believe your whole life, and that's why it feels so unnatural to sit still.
So how do you train yourself to make this shift? The first step is clarity. Professionals have crystal clear rules about what qualifies as a valid trade. They don't just rely on a gut feeling or a hunch. They know exactly what their setup looks like, what their risk is, and where they'll get out before they even enter. If those conditions aren't met, they don't click the button, period. No exceptions. They also keep records. They journal. They write down why they took each trade, what they were feeling, and what the outcome was. Over time, those journals tell the truth. They reveal how often impatience creeps in, how often boredom costs money, and how much stronger the results are when discipline wins. Another powerful way to train patience is to set limits. Maybe you cap yourself at 2 trades a day no matter what. Maybe you decide you won't trade Mondays at all, or you'll take a full week off after hitting your loss limit. It sounds restrictive, but what you're really doing is putting guardrails on your emotions. You're creating a structure that keeps you from spiraling into amateur behavior. And let's not forget losses. Amateurs treat every loss like a personal failure. They can't handle it, so they jump back in, desperate to make it back. Professionals see losses differently. They treat them like business expenses, rent, utilities, cost of doing business. It's already factored in. It doesn't shake them. That calm, that acceptance, is part of the mindset shift. Over time, this way of thinking starts to change everything. The amateur mindset feels like chaos, constant trading, constant stress, account swings that keep you up at night. The professional mindset feels boring by comparison, but boring is beautiful in trading. Boring means consistent. Boring means you're in control. Boring means you're still in the game next year when the amateurs have burned out. So here's my challenge to you. For the next week, every time you think about placing a trade, stop and ask yourself one question. Am I taking this because I truly have an edge, or because I'm bored and restless? If the answer is boredom, close the chart, walk away. Train your patience like a muscle. It'll feel uncomfortable at first, but discomfort is where the growth happens. Remember, the one mindset shift that separates amateurs from professionals isn't some secret formula. It's the ability to wait. To wait for your setup, to wait for your edge, to wait for the market to come to you instead of forcing yourself on it. Make that shift and everything else will follow. And once you experience it, once you truly live that patience, you'll never want to go back to the chaos of chasing every move.